Can the katana perform the German master cuts? Today, we're gonna find out. Ha! So when we're talking about the German master cuts, or Meisterhau, what we mean is a system of cuts that are used in the German fencing tradition in the longsword and in the messer. And the reason that we think the katana might be able to do these is because these are very similar swords. Sure, this one is longer and has 2 edges and a wider crossguard. This one is shorter, has a suba, doesn't have a defined pommel. There are differences, but at the end of the day, they are both two-handed sticks that can cut, and they function very similarly at their base. And because of that, we're wondering, can we perform these German master cuts with the katana? Clark's gonna explain the master cut so you understand what we're doing.
So there are 5 German master cuts, starting with the Zornhau, which is just a true edge descending cut. After that, we have the Schildhau, which is almost the same thing, it's just a false edge descending cut. After that, we have the Krumpau, which is an offline cut here. There. And then lastly, we have the Scheitelhau, which is a very high, very fast straight thrust.
So Clark's gonna demonstrate how these would look against an opponent, and I'm just gonna give him a nice long point to work with.
Zornhau.
He's displaced my blade and taken the line.
Schildhau.
He's again displaced my blade, and now he has a line in to stab me.
Crump.
This one takes my blade from the side, beating it away and opening up a line for him to stab me.
Alternatively, Crump.
Yes, he can come in on that one as well.
And Scheitel.
This one goes up and over my guard to hit me. So let's talk about what we think is gonna happen, and then we can compare and contrast what we thought was gonna happen, what actually happened. For my thoughts, I think the one that's gonna work the best is gonna be the Zornhau, because it is just a straight line thing. So it's just displace,
especially
and then
because this cut exists with this sword already.
Yeah, it already basically exists in kendo or kenjutsu, etc., etc. I think that we might find some use with the crump, especially using the false edge here. So I feel like with a slash afterwards, or possibly trying to turn this into a thrust here, I think that might work.
I think the shield with the spine here would work great, because if I come in, the thrust is right there, and I will probably be able to displace with the spine even easier. Come and shoot, and the thrust is right there.
Okay, that makes sense, Yeah.
What
about the Scheitel?
The Scheitel, I don't think
what if you did it upside down like that?
Going to work, because here, going into a thumb grip here is pretty easy. Here, you hold it not in thumb grip, so I'd have to rotate it the whole way around to shoot. And even then, I don't think the Scheitel is going to work particularly well. What I'm curious to see is if the crump would work either with the spine or the edge, and which would work better. Because crumping with the edge, it's just a basic crump. But with the spine, it's basically the same action, but I'm curious to see if one would displace the other better.
So before we just get into sparring, we're gonna go ahead and do some drilling. I'm gonna let Clark go first. He's gonna try the Meisterhau against me as the dummy.
All right, so first will be the Zorn. We already know this is going to work, but just to confirm, yeah, easy. I'm gonna go ahead and move straight into the shield. I'm gonna try with both edges first, starting with the sharp edge. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It could work. I think I'm gonna swap to the spine now. I think the spine's better. It's just straight there.
Yeah, it's better.
It'd have to be a thrust, because if I run it in and slice you, it's not gonna do anything, obviously. But I think I like the spine more. Going onto crump, starting with the edge. Yeah, starting with the spine. I like the edge more, because with the spine I have to wind way farther. And Scheitel, starting with the starting with the edge. Starting with the spine.
Yeah, that got me.
Maybe. I'm still not convinced doing it at speed will find that much success with it, but we'll try it. The spine's the only hope that would work, though.
Yeah.
All right, let's swap.
So I'm gonna keep my gloves on for this, because one of the things that I was noticing as I was messing with this is the gloves do get in the way. On the longsword, I have more room, and the Suba here is actually getting in my way of doing these thumb grip techniques. So I'm gonna start off with the Zorn. Oh yeah, that works. Yeah. Let's do the shield. So you did it that way. Yeah, that works pretty well. Yeah, let's try it with the true edge. No, just the blade geometry, interestingly enough. I think the curve is working against me, but over here, yeah, it just feels good, and then you've got that. Let's do the crump. So true edge. Oh, that feels really good. Backside. I feel like I've got more weight into that one, but I can't do anything with it. Like, I feel like it pushes you more when it's using this curve, but there's nowhere to go. Okay, the shuttle. So, I got you.
I'm gonna try and carry you a bit.
Still got you, yeah.
Okay.
I think you just didn't give me enough oomph. Let's try it this way, ready? Did I get you? I thought it did. Oh yeah, that one blew right through.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, honestly, they all work decently. The only problem with this is I've got to be fighting you and turn to this and then do it.
Yeah, which you do that in Longsword all the time.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, let's go ahead and do some sparring. Okay, guys, so we're gonna start off kind of just playing around. We're just gonna see if it comes up naturally and then kind of move into a more structured thing. That was a crump. Okay. Yes. What was that?
Shield. Did I get through?
No, you missed. Just, but it was a shield.
Yeah.
Yes, I missed my crump.
Oh, but it was with the wrong edge. Yeah.
That was a crump. It wasn't the false edge, but it was just a tip. I did get through, but I ate it as well. Yeah.
Fine though.
Alright, my hands, there's no cross guard.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that we found out is that you can't use these quite like longswords. The curve and the length makes them a little bit different. But the basic technique is the same.
Yeah, the technique is the same. Kind of the conceptual framework with how you execute it is what changes, which is kind of the entire difference between different cultures.
Yeah.
Sword styles normally.
So it's not that you can't do Zorn, it's just that instead of thinking about doing it specifically with a longsword, you just modify it very slightly.
Yeah.
And it works perfectly.
So when doing the Zorn with a longsword, we use more of the hilt to kind of shoot forward and let the cross catch and displace this sword for us. with these, you kind of have to do the displacing by yourself. When you throw it, I have to like lock my elbows and drive my body through rather than doing a wind.
What I found was instead of throwing it boom to here and then thrusting, it was more like, that flinging out to a more forward position.
Yeah, you need to really throw it out there and stay strong and aggress.
Okay, shield how?
Shield. So when I do this with a longsword, I usually shoot the point in and let the whole blade displace you. With the katana, if I was shooting the point first, you were bending me out because it curves away.
Yeah.
I had to strongly take flug and shoot. So rather than throwing the tip out and falling behind, I had to throw kind of with the strong and then slide it in instead. Again, almost the same thing, but I'm focusing on throwing a different part of the blade out first.
See, I was trying to meet you here high. Instead of coming low, I was trying to see if I could pop you like that.
Yeah.
And kind of take it all in one. And I found doing it was fine, but it was better with a retreat. So the problem was I could blast through you every time, but it was into a cut.
Yeah.
And because it was the false edge, this didn't
work.
do anything. So I had to gain more distance with my thrust.
But that's also fair. Throwing the shield with a retreating step is super common.
Okay, well I found that I like that one better.
Cool.
All right, so moving on to the crump.
So I found that the crump in particular I didn't really like with either edge. I think doing it with the true edge worked better, but
Same.
I didn't really like it in either one.
I started to find liking it hitting with the false edge because I could then strike to your head with the true. I found that doing it the false edge let me strike true to the head, but doing it with the true edge was getting me a flat to your head. So I liked it better the other way.
Okay. So personally, I wouldn't try that in sparring speed. Just I'm not confident I could get it to actually work. Unlike the other two.
I like it better from a thrust, but we'll see what happens next.
Okay.
So we've got the shuttle. This one wasn't as comfy.
I didn't like this one either.
Yeah.
Overhow would just work better every single time.
Yeah. And the curvature of the sword specifically kind of prevents you from doing this well in the true edge.
Yeah.
But the curvature almost helps you on the false edge, but it's not.
Not in like a consistent way.
Okay, Sverch.
Alright.
I don't think this verse works with the.
No, it's not going to. So I think the only things that really work, the Ober worked great.
Yeah.
The shield worked great. Crump, the other two, shield and Sverk, I don't think are gonna work well.
Well, let's give it a shot. That was a crump! Double shield?
Don't do it.
Yeah, double shield. Placement, but yeah. Whoa. Is that work? Shield?
Shield.
You got mask dust in my eye. That was a smirk, baby! This was actually a really interesting experiment. I was impressed with how well this adapted to the German longsword stuff.
It worked better than I was expecting, seeing as how you can't hold it the right way to
thumb
throw
grip,
these.
yeah.
You could, but it wound up not being a problem because these hilts were long enough that you could just hold the thumb underneath and it was fine, which is what you do with other longsword with projections and rings and stuff anyway.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's fine.
So I would say that I had the most success with my crumps, followed closely by my shields.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it was shield and then Zorns.
Zorns, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not good at Zorns anyway, so I think you had a better Zorns than I am. The thing that surprised me is I had to think about it in a two-step process because we were trying to throw Zverk or Twer as to oppress this, but instead I made Clark think I was going high and then I Zverked low with the true edge. And when you do it as a secondary thing, when it's an uncontested Zverk, then it did work.
I mean, that is just where Zverks shine is second intention actions in range.
I don't think you're gonna use it to displace.
No.
Because the geometry of this blade and the curve meant that it just wasn't going up against the other one quite as well.
You couldn't do it in the Meisterhau way, but it worked totally well the regular way.
Yeah, I found that crump worked pretty well, but only as a taker.
Yeah.
I wasn't like hitting your hands. So I would take and then hit on the second intention, which I could do crump and then another crump. But I couldn't, I wasn't crumping to your hands.
Yeah, I couldn't really get crump to work, but at the same time, I almost exclusively throw crumps to hands.
And then shield. Both of us got a lot of shield.
Shield worked well because, especially the tip down with spine, that would actually work. It helped more than I thought it would because the tip was just there.
Yeah, we found that as we were doing this, once you get it, the tip is already plunging in, and you actually have to turn less than you do with a longsword.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's better with the katana than with a longsword, but it was pretty good.
It worked way better than we were expecting.
Exactly. Scheidel, I almost got you once, but it failed for the same reason it failed in the drills, and that was it just...
The tip curves out.
Well, I did it with the tip down, but even then, I think what happened is you'd have to have the distance so perfect. It had to be a stab. You could only Scheidel into a stab. You couldn't Scheidel into a cut, because if it's the false edge, sure, this is gonna hurt.
It's not gonna stop me,
but it probably is not gonna stop him. This would, but the curvature is such that I'm never gonna get it. I can get this. The only way it's gonna really work is if I do it at range and it's a thrust, and I just couldn't get my range down.
So basically, the Scheidel works if you get good.
If you get good.
But at the same time, I mean,
now
that's a big ask.
That said, this is what, an hour of us messing around? It could be that if we tried a little bit more to do the Meisterhau with the katana, that perhaps we could get good.
We could get good.
Yeah? So, I mean, do you guys want to see more of us totally dishonoring this weapon?
One more interesting observation I found is that when I was threatening shield, because regularly you're holding the katana like this, the hands are kind of off, like you could thrust, I guess, but holding it to shield like this, it was a lot easier to bait in stretch in hand, so it also opened up a whole different cut by threatening one. So you can kind of play with expectations a bit too.
I think that we could do another experiment that is just longsworders mess with the katana, because I specifically wasn't looking for anything other than the master cuts. I deliberately didn't go for striations and other things because I wanted to keep it to this, but I think that we could come up with some really goofy ways to play with this. It was fun. I think it worked really well. So yeah, tell us what you think. Do you want to see us mess around with the katanas another time? Let us know. A big thank you to all of our Patreon and YouTube membership supporters. It is your support that allows us to make these videos. These kind of videos where we do a lot of sparring are a lot of fun, but they're also a lot of work. Between shooting the footage itself and then going back and editing each sequence and then adding in the hit trackers, the music, etc., this takes a long time, a lot longer than other videos that we produce. So if you like this video, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon. It's a huge help.